Hello, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead, and that's the week starting 18th of March 2019. We've got Mercury sextile Mars today, and I think it's quite appropriate that that sound that you can pick up on in the background, that watery sound, sounds almost like a heartbeat if you were inside the womb in a way. That's what it reminds me of. That seems very appropriate for a sort of Mercury-Mars sextile that we have today. Mercury in Pisces and Mars in very domesticated Taurus. That's the thing with Mars and Taurus. It does have that homely feel to it. It's the sign where the moon is exalted. And Mercury in Pisces, though it's retrograde, it's a kind of a good day to get tasks cleared up and out of the way. Jupiter's in conjunct the node today on Monday. It's a troublesome aspect because it's, if we look at it in the light of the bigger, the more complex aspect of the year, which is Jupiter square Neptune, the node that in conjunct to the node is a sort of a disconnect in a way, or a obstacle in the path of growth. We can't quite do it. We can't quite grasp the message. We're struggling with it. We're trying to figure it out, but we can't quite figure it out. And as I say, viewed in the light of the larger aspect of the year, which is Jupiter square Neptune. And that's a tricky aspect because both of these planets are connected to the God thought. They're connected to spiritual life. They're connected also to philosophy, to the good life, the things that give life meaning, the higher purpose of life. But when we get a square between Jupiter and Neptune, we are kind of having this clash in a way of, well, ideologies, you could say, or clash of perspectives. Although it's a great aspect in the sense of bringing people together and bundling behind a certain cause, the cause itself can become troubled when there's a Jupiter-Neptune square. So there's some kind of issue going on, I think, with general direction this year, where are we getting lost? Because Neptune is very fuzzy and, you know, it sort of doesn't always, it sort of feels its way into things. It doesn't have that sharpness and clarity which Jupiter in Sagittarius can have, even though it can be incredibly convinced of its own arguments. It can be incredibly intolerant in a way, Jupiter in Sagittarius too, which is a strange one to say, but it's true, I believe. So we're coming now into this build-up as well, because we have two kind of major events this week. We have the full moon, and just before the full moon, we have the Aries ingress. The Aries ingress, this is one of the turning points of the year, one of the markers of the year. You know, we have the equinoxes and we have the solstices, and those are important markers of the year because they're saying something very fundamental about the earth and the sun. And really, at these points in the cycle, in the way, the earth has to submit to a higher order. It has to turn at this point. It has to sort of come back in on itself in a way, or fly out of its axis. So it's the magnetic pull of the sun which is creating this shift in the direction that the earth is turning. It has to turn. And from today, we start to see in the northern hemisphere that progressively, you know, the light, it becomes lighter and lighter. We have, you know, more day, less night. Things are opening up, you know, the chakras start to open up, because when it's cold, you know, everything sort of seems to close in on itself. And there's now, with this Aries ingress, things opening up, triggering the world axis, a fire sign, Aries, determined to kind of take that course, make that move, shift in that new direction. It's powerful energy. And it comes into Aries, and immediately there's the opposition with the moon, the full moon. So these are events that are like almost simultaneous, we could say, because the full moon is in 0 degrees 9 Libra. And in this opposition, it's only the sun and moon that are involved. And yet these are such fundamental, you know, these are very fundamental planets, the sun and the moon. You know, the moon is not only the other, it's not only the mother, it's not the other being the opposition, right? The moon is also the mother, it's nurturing, it's caring, it's about concern and genuine interest in the welfare of the other. Whereas Aries is very much about what I need to do to get my life back on track. This is which way I want to go. And my goodness, I might have to tread on a few toes on the way if I want to do that. So there's a serious clash of interest, you could say, between my interest and your interest, because there's a headstrongness in the sun in Aries, and there's a definite sort of slow down side to the moon in Libra as it procrastinates, as it tries to, I think, actually perhaps imagine what the consequences of action might be. So there's a definite sense around this ingress of, shall we say, definite crisis in points of view, where we're coming from. Yeah, and before that, I should say, this is on Thursday. Before that, on Wednesday, we have Mars trine Pluto, Mercury, sextile Saturn. So these are all kind of aspects in a way which are taking us into this full moon Aries ingress. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a tricky ingress, I would say, because of that polarity that's inherent in it. Then we move into Thursday after the ingress as well. We have Venus in Aquarius squaring Mars in Taurus. This is also a tricky square, because Mars in Taurus honours Venus. It looks up to Venus. It's in Venus's sign, but Venus in Aquarius is air. It's abstract. It's a thinking sign. It's kind of quite distant in a way for a planet like Venus that so wants to connect. It's about, yeah, shall we maybe unite around a cause? Shall we share, can we share or find something that we can share that is more than the personal? Whereas Mars in Taurus is very earthy and sensual and patient and enduring, but that sense of intimacy and sexuality and sensuality is very strong in Mars when it's in Taurus. So there again you see this this one side, shall we say, Venus, which, you know, as I say, should want to connect, is somehow unable to maybe give Mars what it desires. And on the other hand as well, Mars in Taurus is unable in some way to satisfy Venus in Aquarius. So I think the thing here is, one of the important things I think with this kind of Aries ingress in a way, is that we do try to find common ground, that we find things that we can share. And we get into then, you know, we get into later on the same day, we get Venus then sextile in Jupiter, which is, you know, it's a much more, yeah, this is where we are trying to find that common ground, a shared set of values. But it's an interesting sextile, because even while it's happening, Jupiter is already slowing down. It's moving slower and slower, because on the 12th of April it will go retrograde. So there's not an enduring quality there. And the whole week then seems to round itself off on Sunday with the Mercury conjunction with Neptune. My goodness. My goodness. I mean, we're struggling, aren't we? We're trying to find our way here. And then we run into Neptune and we think, well, who cares? Shall we open a bottle of wine? Shall we just sort of, you know, get high? Shall we just see, you know, yeah, you know, or find something spiritual? Shall we beat a drum or bang a gong? You know, I mean, trying to make sense of things at the moment is kind of where it's at, but it's also the challenge. And certainly I think under that conjunction on Sunday with the moon as well in Scorpio, I think we should kind of try and share something that we can connect, that we can enjoy, that we can maybe lose a bit our sense of self, come out of our isolation and, you know, just try and release thinking and kind of come into the body more. Okay, this is my rather long take on the week. Thank you for listening. Bye.